Hello everyone, the topic that I would like to talk with you is about Buddhism. We'll talk about faith in Buddhism. So this is a continuation of talking about the concept of faith in the comparative religion. So when we speak of Buddhism, it refers to a religion of Eastern and Central Asia growing out of the teaching of Siddhartha Gautama, their founder, that teaches that suffering is inherent in life and that one can be liberated from it by cultivating wisdom, virtue, and concentration. Let's begin with the origins of Buddhism. So when Gautama passed away around 485 BC, his followers began to organize a religious movement. And in this movement, the teachings of Buddha became the foundation, and they later called Buddhism. So in the 3rd century BC, Ashoka the Great, the Mauryan Indian emperor, made Buddhism the state of religion of India. So it was during this time. So Buddhist monasteries were built and missionary work was encouraged during this time. Now over the next few centuries, Buddhism began to spread beyond India, no? So the thoughts and philosophies of Buddhists became diverse, with some followers interpreting ideas differently than others. Now in the 6th century, during the Hans dynasty, they invaded India and destroyed hundreds of Buddhist monasteries, but the intruders were eventually driven out of the country. So then Islam began to spread quickly in the region during the Middle Ages, forcing Buddhism into the background. So this is what happens during a short historical background of the origins and of this religion. Talking about short historical background, so Buddhism is a faith that was founded by Siddhartha Gautama. He is also known as the Buddha. So more than 2,500 years ago, he existed in India with about 470 million followers, and scholars consider Buddhism as one of the major world religions. Now here are the beliefs of Buddhism. First, followers of Buddhism don't acknowledge a supreme god or deity. They instead focus on achieving enlightenment. And this enlightenment is a state of inner peace and wisdom. So the goal of the believers in Buddhism is to achieve enlightenment, a state of inner peace and wisdom. So they don't have a supreme god or deity. Next, the religion's founder is Buddha is considered an extraordinary man, but not a god. No, the word Buddha means enlightened. Next, the path to enlightenment is attained by utilizing morality, meditation, and wisdom. So when you speak of morality, those right actions that a believer of Buddhism should follow, they also have to do meditation and as well as to attain also wisdom. Next, there are many philosophies and interpretations within Buddhism, making it a tolerant and evolving religion. Next is, some scholars don't recognize Buddhism as an organized religion, but rather a way of life or a spiritual tradition. Next, Buddhism encourages its people to avoid self-indulgence, but also self-denial. So what is being avoided are the both extreme self-indulgence and self-denial. Next is Buddha's most important teachings known as the Four Noble Truths. So in my coming slides, you will also see and read what are these Four Noble Truths, and these are essential to understanding the religion. Next, Buddhists embrace the concepts of karma, the law of cause and effect, and reincarnation, the continuous cycle of rebirth. So the mother religion of Buddhism is none other than Hinduism. So these beliefs of karma and incarnation are also inherited by this religion. Next, the followers of Buddhism can worship in temples or in their homes. And then Buddhist monks, or they call bhikkhus, follow a strict code of conduct which includes celibacy. So what do you mean by celibacy? It is a state of being unmarried. So you devote yourself to your life in the monastery, doing the meditation and acquiring wisdom. Next is, there is no single Buddhist symbol, but a number of images have evolved that represent Buddhist beliefs, including the lotus flower, the eight-spoke Dharma wheel, later you will see this, and the Bodhi tree, and the swastika, an ancient symbol whose name means well-being or good fortune in Sanskrit. Now, who is the founder of Buddhism? The founder of Buddhism is no other than Siddhartha Gautama, as I have already mentioned, and he became known as the Buddha, who lived during the 5th century BC. So just to give you a little background about this person, Siddhartha came from a rich family, and his father wanted him to become his king of the community, but he was a prince in present-day Nepal. Although he had an easy life, he was moved by suffering in the world. So he decided to give up his lavish lifestyle and endure poverty. So imagine, he came from a very rich family. So when this didn't fulfill him, he promoted the idea of the middle way, which means existing between two extremes. Thus, he sought a life without social indulgences but also without deprivation. So meaning, in our own term, tama-tama lang, no? In English, in moderation, which means so after 6 years of searching, Buddhists believe Gautama found enlightenment while meditating under a Bodhi tree. Then he spent the rest of his life teaching others about how to achieve this spiritual state. So that is the life of the founder. Now here are the Buddhist holy books. Number 1 is Tapitaka. These texts, known as the Three Baskets, are thought to be the earliest collection of Buddhist writings. Next is Sutras. There are more than 200 sutras, which are sacred teachings embraced mainly by Mahayana Buddhists. And the third is the Book of the Dead. This Tibetan text describes the stages of death in detail. So you can also find this in literature about the Book of the Dead. At this point, let's talk about Dharma. Dharma is Buddha's teachings. He thought that wisdom, kindness, patience, and generosity and compassion were important virtues. Specifically, all Buddhists live by 5 moral precepts which prohibit: number 1, killing living things; number 2, taking what is not given; number 3, sexual misconduct; Number 4, lying. And number 5, using drugs or alcohol. So the followers of Buddhism has to develop these virtues and also avoid this uh, one that I have mentioned earlier. So here are the Buddha's 4 noble truths. So this is the core of their beliefs. According to Buddha, number 1, life has inevitable suffering. So it is a reality in our life. There is a suffering and you cannot avoid it. Number 2, there is a cause to our suffering. So what do you mean by this? Meaning there is an effect, there must be a cause, and the effect is suffering. So what is the cause? The cause of suffering is none other than our own craving. Okay, so our own craving is the one that makes us suffer. Number 3, fortunately there is an end to suffering. So number 4, how? The end to suffering is contained in the eightfold path. So what are these eightfold path? In my next slide, you will be provided with this eightfold path. Here is the noble eightfold path in any particular order. So here we have right view. It actually about knowing the truth. Then next is right intention. It means free your mind of evil. Whatever you do, it should be that the intention is right. And then next is right speech. So whatever that comes out in your mouth, it is for the good of others. Say nothing that hurts others. Next is right action. So work for the good of others. Do not work for your own good, but work for the good of others in the community. Number 3, next is right livelihood. So this actually respects life. Next is right effort. So meaning you have to resist evil. Next is right concentration. It is actually about the practice of meditation. And then lastly, last but not the least, right mindfulness, meaning it is about control in your thoughts. Now, what is the role of faith in Buddhism? For them, faith is a deep conviction in the example given through Gautama's life, his wisdom and compassion, and the authenticity of his teachings. So here, a deep sense of confidence arises from the recognition that if we apply the teachings of the founder, we'll be able to face all circumstances, good and bad, with wisdom, inner strength, and freedom. Once serenity and freedom has been achieved within ourselves, the constant changes of our outer circumstances will not unsettle our mind very much. So if we are free from craving, as I have mentioned in the Four Noble Truths, craving, attachment, animosity, and from the endless preoccupation with gain and loss, praise and criticism, reputation, rank, and possession, will be less vulnerable and become fearless. So that's all for my discussion about the topic of Buddhism. If you have questions or clarifications, feel free to message me, and thank you for listening.